let me know when that's right. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this evening's council regular meeting, RM 23-2021. And we will call our meeting to order. It is 7:04 p.m. You've got your agenda in front of you. Does anybody wish to make any additions to the agenda? Yes.
Wouldn't mind talking about building permits and how they're dealt with right now.
All right.
Orientation?
Perhaps, yeah. Perhaps I could just come up as a sideline for the SAO to address. And if it requires more, we can always do something. All right. So hearing that there isn't any other issues needing to be added, I'll say there's a motion moved by, okay, there we go. Oh, Kyle Christensen, Councillor Christensen, seconded by Councillor Browning, that council adopts the agenda of regular meeting RM 23-2021 as presented. All those in favor? Okay, we've got 7 in favor. 6. Yeah. Okay, 6 in favor, 9 against, motion carried. And councillor absences. Do we?
Unit number 4.
Oh, miss number 4, declarations of interest. Any councillors wish to make a declaration of interest in any of the items on the agenda tonight? All right. So noted. And number 5, councillor absences. Do we have any notifications of councillor absences tonight?
I've not seen any from councillors Tetzel or McPherson. So
I think they said at the last meeting that they weren't going to be at this meeting. Liza had stated that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I
Should be
vaguely
traveling.
remember that too. How about councillor Tetzel? Well, it's early in our start. Maybe I'll write down his name, but it is in our councillor procedure bylaw that you have to give notification if you aren't going to be at the meetings to be actually excused, and if you go 3 unexcused during your term, you could actually be asked to leave or removed. So it's best to at least notify, but we'll give Councillor Tetzel the benefit of the doubt because, as I say, it's early in our start here. So I've written his name in, unless somebody wants to object to that. A motion moved by Councillor Browning, seconded by Councillor Hassan, that council excuse Councillors Tetzel and McPherson from regular meeting RM 23-2021. All those in favor? Okay, 6 in favor, none against, motion carries.
just before we go to delegation.
Yeah.
Introduction.
Sure, go ahead.
Just wanted to introduce council to our new employee hire, Cheyenne. Cheyenne's been with us for about 2 weeks now and is doing very well. And
Welcome, Cheyenne.
you all know Jenny. So no, just
Yeah, I know.
put a face to the name.
Carry on.
Yeah.
Okay, and so moving along to item number 6, delegations. We do have a representative of Arctic Energy Alliance here in the community, Derek Rasmus, who would like to make a presentation to the council. If you'd like to join us here at the table, Derek, wherever you like, you can sit here if you like.
Do I have to wear a mask? Or?
No.
We're good.
So,
Okay. I've got a few things for council. First, I'd just like to say thank you guys for seeing me, and congratulations on all the electoral victories. And so this, what I'm passing around is an energy profile. Every so often, like every 5 or 6 years, we complete an energy profile in every community in the north. And so I brought them. You guys can keep these. I'll leave these ones with your staff so you can put them up around the building. And so I'll just let you guys look at that for a minute. It's basically where we collect data to try to get a snapshot of energy use in the community to create a profile. And I got a current poster here. It's just some of our programs were updated recently. So thank you. You guys can just keep this for FYI, or if you're ever talking to constituents about some of our rebate programs, our flagship rebate program. And I brought a bunch of hats for you guys.
Oh,
A bunch of toques here. I've got a couple colors. Pom-pom without. I don't know if you guys have a preference for colors or anything.
Thank you, Derek.
Timely.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
They're
Derek.
good for keeping your head warm, for your grandkids or for yourselves. So it's been a little while since last time I was here. And one of the main things I wanted to discuss today, unless are there any questions that any of the counselors have?
Just before we get going, I know the federal government has the Greener Homes Grant.
Yep.
And they need an assessment done on houses prior. Are you guys offering those assessments to cover for that Greener Homes Grant?
Right now, we have a similar program. It's an older program called the Deep Home Energy Program.
Yep.
And so basically how that works, he would schedule an appointment with us, and we'd send, well, first we do what we call a yardstick audit, and it's kind of like a desktop look at your house and your bills. So basically we collect all your bills and we build a small profile based on your energy use, and we would tie in like the current gas price and energy prices in the community, taking some of the information off of these profiles, and we give you an idea of what your energy use is. And then if you're looking to do renovations and you get accepted into the Deep Home Energy project or program, we would send in one of our tech staff to your house, and they would do a very in-depth energy audit. And so they'll actually build a computer model of your house, and they'll build in like the depth of your walls, your insulation package, how your house was built, how many square feet it is, how many panes are in your window. We'll do a blower door test to see how airtight your house is. And based on that computer model, we would compare and contrast it to what a typical house is today. So you'll have an idea of where you're standing compared to modern construction or today's construction. And then we'd have a bunch of energy management opportunities on there, things that you can do to fix your house. Now that's based on NRCan's old, this is NRCan's project, right? Program we talked about. That's based on their old program. So they've recently made this new program, and we're still trying to figure out how we fit into that, because I can't remember exactly what there's a barrier for us to do that, or for clients to get those energy audits done.
Yeah.
And it is a requirement. And so we're working with NRCan to try to figure out how that's going to work in the north. And right now we have a huge backlog of energy audits because our auditors couldn't go to houses for the last year.
Right.
So this is a really tough one right now at AEA, and we're working on it. And but the short answer is yes, we're going to be able to provide those audits, but right now it's very difficult to schedule.
Okay.
So that is one thing, and I'm gonna get some more information on that for you guys. Any other questions? No? Okay.
I guess I got another one.
Sure.
So when I did go to Arctic Energy Alliance earlier, like when I first kind of was in town, they said if I got an energy audit, I couldn't just repair my windows. I'd have to do all the insulation and everything. So is it all, you have to get everything packaged into one, or can you pick and choose what to do? Because windows alone would be, a pricey endeavor to replace all my windows. But to tear out all my walls to replace all the insulation and all that, that's basically I'm paying for a new modular home.
The way that Deep Home Energy Project works is, and these criteria are set by the funders. In order to qualify for that particular program, one of the things is you have to increase your insulation package on at least one wall by, I believe, 10 R value.
Okay.
So that could be your ceiling. If you have a softened floor, like a trailer, that could be your floor, or one of your walls, or, maybe you just want to do the whole thing at once and you'll get a rebate. And so if you're going to do that, increase the insulation package, then that opens that funding source for the deep home. And there's a X amount for windows and other energy efficient upgrades.
Okay, because I was looking at windows just from my background. I installed windows, and I just know, getting energy efficient windows would increase my energy efficiency tenfold compared to the 80s style windows I currently have.
Yeah, Windows is a really good one for saving energy. To put in perspective, just anecdotally, when Julia switched her house windows from double pane to quadruple pane, it cut her fuel bill in half.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
the windows.
Oh, wow.
That's why
Yeah,
I was
so-
just looking at doors and windows, because that alone would have been probably about 40 to 50 grand for myself.
The engineers argue about triple pane versus quadruple pane a lot. And so half the engineers say it's worth it, half of them say it's not. So it's a tough one to really, go there. But one of the things we can do, if you do sign up, we will eventually be able to audit your house and then give you a really good idea of what we'll have a bunch of ideas for you of things you can do. And we'll also calculate the return on investment. So we'll give you an idea of how many years it should take, assuming gas prices are about the same, or fuel prices or energy prices, to recoup your investment. And so that's one of the good things too.
Sorry about cutting you off.
No, that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So I'm gonna get some information on those programs and I'll send it to the SAO.
Yeah, I just personally,
Or you could drop by
I
anytime
applied
as well.
to the Greener Homes grant, and
Okay.
I heard back from them. It's just I'm looking for an auditor now, kind of thing. And I
Right.
was just, from my understanding, they're trying to do it locally, like regionally, and you guys are the ones that kind of do the energy audit.
Yeah,
So that's why I was just kind of curious about
When
that.
they rolled that program out, they sort of designed it for the South, where there's there's contractors and different organizations.
Yeah,
that do
but
that work.
that 40 grand interest-free loan is really appealing to me. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll get you some information on that, and you could drop by, since this is your personal house too. You can drop by anytime, and we can start a file on it. That'd be a good way to get started. Get you on the list, and then when they eventually do come, and I don't think we're going to have any auditors here before year end, so it'll give you an idea of how long it's going to take. It's not going to be quick, unfortunately. COVID really threw a wrench into everything. On the plus side, COVID encouraged a lot of homeowners and businesses to invest in energy efficient products. So there's more money was doled out in the last few years than previous years. The negative thing about that is our budgets are exhausted at this point. And so our programs, a lot of them we have a waiting list. So you can put your name on the waiting list if you do buy something or get something, and we're going to service that list in chronological order. Keep in mind though, even without our grant or our rebate, if you bought an energy efficient product, eventually it's going to pay itself off. So all of our products, the engineers look at them and they calculate that these products will save you energy. So they're still worth, it's still worth going out there and doing your upgrades. Okay, so yeah, I'll get you some information on that.
yeah, no, I'll stop by. I was just curious about that. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's what I'm here for. And drop by the office, maybe if you can. And
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people could benefit from that Greener Homes grant.
Oh yeah,
Especially
for
up here,
sure.
'cause we're remote community, so we
Yeah, I'll get
fall into
I'll
that.
get some
5 grand, right?
information on it for you, and then you can discuss it with others as well. If
Yeah, well, that's,
constituents talk to you and stuff like that.
just spread it around, right?
In terms of what we're doing with the village right now, is some of you may be aware that the village of Fort Simpson has signed up for our community energy planning program. And so how that program works is I think every year we do about 5 communities. And how it works is Arctic Energy Alliance will provide funding to a partner organization. This next fiscal year, that being the village of Fort Simpson. And we provide funding for you guys to hire what we call a community energy champion. And this is one of the big things I wanted to discuss with you guys today. And basically what the community energy champion is one of your employees. You guys, hire the person and through a partnership agreement with us, a contribution agreement, I guess. And this person's job is basically to do a lot of community consultation, engage with stakeholders, community members, businesses, several levels of government. And that person would build like a community energy plan. And then the second half of this project, typically how we try to make it run is they would come up with different strategies for the community to do energy projects and sort of get the blueprints ready for, maybe I shouldn't say blueprints, but identify a project or several projects that the village could implement to save energy. And so we're really excited to have the Village of Fort Simpson on this this year. And so we should have a draft partnership agreement for you guys by January. And the job would start in April. There is an opportunity to hire somebody part-time starting mid-March, from what I understand, but all of these details would be spelled out in the partnership agreement. The project runs for 780 hours. And so that's the contribution that we would provide. And the Village of Fort Simpson, of course, would have to pay some remittances, and they would also be responsible for in-kind contributions like office space and, consumables or sundries like, paper, this sort of thing. And this person should also be somebody who could work as part of a team. So there'll be several other communities that have the similar project going on, and there'll be team meetings, and Arctic Energy Alliance will have a coordinator that's helping these individuals build these profiles. And so they'll have a chance to sort of collaborate together and work together, but ultimately it would be your staff. And they should also be able to work independently. A lot of this work will be independent work with lots of public engagement. So just to give you guys an idea of the type of person you want to hire, you want somebody that's comfortable engaging with the community, holding meetings, going to meetings, collecting information, and that sort of thing. Fort Simpson does have an existing energy plan, I think drafted in 2009 or 2010, and I wasn't able to find it before this meeting, but I think you guys should have a copy of this energy plan somewhere in your files, and I'll also keep trying to find it. Just give you an idea of, maybe you want to have an idea already where you want to start. So yeah, we will work with the energy champ a lot of training, but ultimately the employee will take direction from the SAO and be your guys' employee. So you want to kind of get an idea of what you want Fort Simpson to look like in terms of energy in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. This is an opportunity for you guys to sort of look at.
On the
Look at it that
village's
way.
buildings? Or
No,
all-
on the whole community. Yeah, this is a whole community thing. And on another note, DFN has a really cool project going on right now too, and there may be some opportunity for some synergy here. They're trying to put a similar person in each Decho community. So there might actually be 2 energy champions working in Fort Simpson, and then the whole region as well. I'm not 100% sure where they're at with that project right now, but that would, be another resource. So one of the problems with a lot of the projects that there's funding available for is there's always interest at like the board level or the council level here to do a big project. But the problem is your SAO has a job to do, your finance guy has a job to do, your staff is sort of, they're already committed pretty much most days, and it's hard for one of your staff to champion a file like this. And so this is an opportunity to use the funding to get somebody that's just dedicated to, we're going to work on energy, we want to do this kind of project or that kind of project or what have you, and they could focus on that and try to get the project off the ground, secure funding, get pre-feasibility work done, stuff like this. You could develop a vision for your energy use, determine your strategies and projects for the future. It's a good building, capacity building exercise as well. So it'll help increase energy literacy. This is directly from the funding source. Energy literacy is one of the big things, and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions is the overarching sort of mission. And the adoption of alternative energies wherever possible is a big thing for this project. So some of the examples of the types of projects you could look at biomass, either for buildings, or you could look bigger, district biomass heating, solar, run of the river, geothermal. You could also do work through your bylaws. I think you mentioned you were talking about building permits. Some jurisdictions build energy efficient strategies into their bylaws. For example, Yellowknife right now, to get a building permit in Yellowknife, you have to meet a certain criteria for energy efficiency. And so that's one way the city of Yellowknife is ensuring that any new builds or major renovations are bringing people up to a certain level, and that's been really successful over there. What they're looking at doing now, that was done a while back. Now what they're doing in Yellowknife, and I think Whitehorse is looking at similar legislation or a similar project. There's been changes to the law, I guess, where you could actually, in Yellowknife's investigating this right now, where you could use your tax funding to provide interest-free loans to people in the community or homeowners, and for them to do energy efficient upgrades. And so that's something the city of Yellowknife is looking at right now. I think they're at the stage where they've got a consulting firm sort of putting it all together. This is how it's going to look. And so that's something that's interesting as well. And I believe Whitehorse is looking at a similar project. So for example, you could say we're going to target a certain sector, or maybe it's insulation, or maybe biomass, wood stoves and pellet stoves, and you'll be able to provide funding. And then the loans they're pretty secure, where you collect your payment through taxes. And so there's good chance most people are going to pay their taxes. Okay, that's a different meeting. So that's really exciting, and we're really looking forward to doing that with the village in the next year. And I wanted to just talk to you guys, get any questions that you might have about this project or program, and sort of get you guys thinking about the type of employee, or how I think we're going to be sending you a suggested job description, but of course it's your guys' employee, so you can make changes if you need to, stuff like that. So just to put it out there, get you guys thinking about that opportunity that's coming up. And if you have any questions, I'll get them answered for you from the project coordinator.
So this is a multi-year project?
For us, it's a multi-year project. I guess sort of for you guys too. So there's 780 hours that you guys can stretch over the next fiscal year for the actual, the employee boots on the ground, kind of doing that work. But then you're going to have projects identified and hopefully some legwork done on them. So then you guys could look at, maybe in year 2, you're going to look at, trying to find funding elsewhere to keep that person going, maybe, or hire somebody else, or try to get some pushed forward. So like there are some opportunities in Fort Simpson for district biomass heating, which is really, there's a lot of savings there in terms of energy and money savings, cost savings. So like the arena and the pool are 2 buildings close together. You could easily have a pellet boiler there and run utilidors. And I think right now the arena is heated by the GNWT. You'd be able to come off GNWT, and I don't know how the arrangement works there, but the other thing which is interesting about that is you have a GNWT building, or no, that's a Rose building next door, right? So there are opportunities to sell heat to GNWT buildings as well if they're adjacent or close enough. So you'd be able to look at those options as well to increase your revenue from these projects, which would pay them off quicker. Or if you're a business, it gets you into, profit quicker. So it's really sort of setting up for several years of projects. Is
So the first year, the funding will cover the position?
Yeah.
And travel and all those
Travel, I think we would pay for
meeting
some travel.
costs and all that?
I believe there's some meetings that we would bring the person into different meetings, but I think some of it would be in kind as well, but I'll get some more clarification on that for you guys. So from my understanding is it's 780 hours and we have a rate that we will pay for that. The village would be responsible for remittances and for in-kind like office sundries and stuff like this. And, you know, if you're going to host a meeting at the arena, say those associated costs as well. So there is some that the village would have to come up with.
So are the wages going to be competitive?
My understanding is I got a number written down, but I don't want to until because I haven't seen the purchase agreement or the partnership agreement. But it's my understanding is it's a good wage in this community. Yeah.
Okay, so anybody else have any other questions for Derek? Yes, I'm sorry, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a little question in regards to the second part of your presentation, which is the rebate, the property tax contribution one.
Mhm.
So my question is, right now people get, for an example, if I have an efficient furnace, people get a rebate of $1,500. So that project, does it mean that we buy it for them and we get the 1,500 and they get the 1,500 and the village will take the rest of the money from their property tax, or what does it mean?
Those more low or like detailed details, I don't really know. Like with Yellowknife, what they're doing right now is my understanding is that they've got a consultant that's building the program. So a lot of that type of stuff, they'll probably look at it through feasibility analysis and see what's the best way to deliver that program. But the high level expectation is that they're going to use the property taxes as a funding source for homeowners and probably business owners who own buildings to provide interest-free loans, which will be paid back through taxes. And so the idea, I believe, is that like if I got one of those loans here and I sold my house, the balance on the loan stays with the house because the next person living in it is going to benefit from those upgrades. And so, and it's pretty secure loan because, you know, there's other tools available to recoup unpaid taxes, so, which the village is just aware of, I'm sure.
So basically, it's just increasing your property taxes.
And
Cover it.
increasing your property taxes to cover the
Yeah.
cost of interest-free loan. That's my understanding. Like they're building it right now. So right now they've got the consultants working on how it's going to work. Like it probably wouldn't be the same as Yellowknife, the way they're doing it. If you guys were going to look at that as an option, you might want to do it a little bit differently. Maybe you're just going to target a certain, you know, product or sector. Maybe it's biomass you want to increase, or maybe it's solar, or maybe it's, you know, insulation upgrades or windows or something like that. Or maybe you want to just make it wide open and it's, you know, anything that saves energy, you know, so it would really come from the council and how you choose to push it forward.
So would the council administer the loan funds, or does that come from a different pot?
I really don't know the answer to that. But once Yellowknife rolls out their program, I could come back and show you guys the finer details of how they're doing it. Like we're a lot smaller, right? So we don't have the, you know, the tax base that they have. So
And Yellowknife may have the capacity in terms of cash to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Whereas smaller communities may not have that luxury. So, you know, we'd have to look at all those details before.
yeah, they're like maybe there's a way Simpson could do something similar with just like a smaller, you know, like biomass. Like you guys will help people put in wood stoves and, you know, pellet boilers and pellet stoves, et cetera, stuff like that. Or maybe just windows or up to one window a year or something. There's different ways you guys could look at it based on your own, particular circumstance. So, because, like there's not a whole lot of, there's some homeowners here, so you do have a tax base, there's businesses here. So it's just something I thought that could work here. So I thought I'd mention it in the meeting. And these are all the types of things that your community energy champion could start doing a lot of this research for you guys. So the first phase, they're going to build this energy plan or this energy vision in consultation with you guys and the band and the village and, community members, businesses. And once you have an idea of where, like there might be some really good opportunities for, actionable projects that you could do that are going to like maximize your benefit. Maybe there's something that, that's out there that with a relatively small investment, you're able to get all these savings. And, maybe there's not. One of the things that this council has been really great at is engaging with Arctic Energy Alliance with the audits like we were talking about earlier. So we've audited, I'm pretty sure, all of your guys' infrastructure, and the village has implemented most of the energy, we call them energy management opportunities, I believe. And so a lot of the low-hanging fruit, the village has already done. So the village, you guys are in a good position to look at sort of larger scale projects now. And on that, there is a very generous grant right now being administered through the GNWT. It's called the Greenhouse Gas Grant. Some of you councilors that were here last time might remember me talking about last time I was here. And so that's a really generous grant. It's designed for projects that are larger in scope than the projects that Arctic Energy Alliance would help with rebates. So as a community government, if you guys had a project, we could be on board for 50% of your project up to $50,000 a year. So if you had a $100,000 project, that's something that we could get involved with if all the criteria were met. So the greenhouse gas grant is for projects that are larger than that. And so stuff like district heating or large scale projects that you might want to look at. And for community governments, I believe it's 70 or 75% in grant funding. So it's not a rebate like ours. It's actually a grant, and it's very generous. And I believe it's open until 2024 right now. It's on the GNWT books. And so if your project manager or your community energy champion identifies some of these projects, there are funding vehicles out there right now that could be taken advantage of for some of these things. And you never know when these programs are finished, what's going to replace them or if anything's going to replace them. So I would really like to see a greenhouse gas grant in the region and in the community, in all of our communities really. And so district heating is the first one that comes to mind for me because it's expensive. It's every foot of that utilidor costs money. And this is a big grant that's able to help with those costs, and you'd be able to recoup your investment a lot quicker that way. And Arctic Energy Alliance would be able to help with sort of pre-feasibility work. So we'd be able to help essentially get the village ready to fill out that application, do a lot of the pre-feasibility work, we call it, because we don't do feasibility studies, but we could assist in that sort of thing. So that's really, that's probably one of the more generous grants out there right now.
Is there a portion the applicant has to put in?
Yeah, the remaining portion of the applicant's responsibility. So I think it's 70, 75, or 80% for public governments. But I want to say 75. I haven't looked at it in a while. I think it changed recently too, but it's really high. It's really good. For businesses, I believe it's like 10% less, and then for homeowners, it's 50 or 60%, but still very generous. So if your project's around 100 grand, they're gonna tell you, oh, go talk to Arctic Energy Alliance because our funding is built for projects that size. But once you get beyond that, then you want to talk to these guys like the Greenhouse Gas Grant. And it would be really good to get some of these programs or these projects in our region, in our community.
Yeah.
I don't think we have one yet.
You have one more? Sure.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Let's make this the last question.
Yeah, I'm
so
sorry. I really like the idea of the homeowners, but people usually they don't like complications. They like things very simple. So I believe if you can get us more information about the project in Yellowknife, so we should know. For me, I look at it as simple as if I want any homeowner, if they want, say, to buy a wood panel stove cost $5,000. They the I think that's how it works. We help them contribute with buy it for the full $5,000, install it, get the rebate in the village. Then the rest of the money will be going towards the property tax. I think that's a simple way. I don't know. It might be that way, but we just need more information.
Yeah,
more
I'll
information.
get some more information on that, and also
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll also get some more information on the bylaws, the way Yellowknife structures their bylaws, so that you guys can have a look. It might be something you might want to look at. You know, it all comes from this table. So, I was going to segue into one more thing, but you guys seem like you're.
Actually, the Deputy Mayor has one last quick.
I'm just wondering how that would work for band-owned land
For which
regarding the tax rebates.
that's another thing that would have to be sort of, it's more of a detailed discussion that needs to be had with, if you guys wanted to do it, likely you would probably hire a consultant similar to what Yellowknife did and sort of look at what's feasible. It really comes down to what's feasible for the community. In terms of band lands, I'm not sure, because I don't think they pay municipal taxes.
You do.
They pay
They do?
municipal taxes.
But it's the
just
federal
not-
government that pays grants in lieu,
Oh,
and they'd have to be on board with it.
yeah, I'm really not sure about that, but I'll
Some complicated.
yeah, that's sort of one of the details that your community energy champion, if you guys directed that individual to pursue this as an idea for a project, they would be able to sort of come and do that sort of thing. But I'm going to ask that question as well, and I'll get back to you with some information on that. I don't know if the city of Yellowknife, I don't think they deal with that in the city of Yellowknife.
No,
So,
I think it's-
but we'll see. I'll get some questions on that for you, or some answers on that.
Okay, and with that, I'd like to say thank you very much, Derek, for coming down, and thank you for your promo gifts as well.
Yes, I hope you guys wear them around town, you know, get the logo out there. And if you guys ever have any questions or you want me to come back, you want to talk about something specific, you know, I talk with Kevin semi-regularly, and Daryl and we email back and forth sometimes. So just, you could let Kevin or Daryl know, and I can come back. Or if you guys want more information on the greenhouse gas grant or any of our programs, or if you want to talk about this more, if you guys wanted to talk about the community energy champion more, we could set up another meeting when you guys have time, or if you have a committee that deals with these things. And I could bring Linda in remotely as well. She's the project lead on it, and she would have a lot more answers for you guys if you guys have any more questions.
Well, I think the
Thank you,
job
Derek.
description would be great too for that.
Yeah, I think part of it is they'll have a suggested job description. You guys could change it if you want to keep it the same. It's really, I guess the main point is the village is really the driver of it. So, all right, thank you guys so much for everything. I know you guys are busy.
Thank you, Derek.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you,
Derek.
Thank you.
All right, next is adoption of minutes, and we don't have any minutes to review tonight or adopt. So item number 8, mayor report. I would just report on a meeting I had with the Red Cross. They had 2 representatives in town last week. They're working on a couple of things for us. One is emergency plan suggested improvements, and also doing some work on our health and wellness project, starting with a kind of a community profile and analysis. And they're talking to leaders and stakeholders in the community that are that they want to, leaders, I guess they say, to try, rather than do a community survey, they want to develop this community profile. It'll help them to focus on those issues which are probably most relevant to health and wellness. Like, you can think of things like education, jobs, employment, housing, you know, what is the status of all these things in our community right now? And so that'll help them to guide in their development of a plan.
Do we have any report, like written reports from them, or are we going to have a written?
Yeah, no, there's nothing really in writing from them yet, other than the initial proposal that identified the sort of, in general, the scope of work that was going to be done. I'll have to say that, you know, most of the money that's going into that project is actually coming from them. And also from the United Way. Very little money is actually coming from the village.
How much is very little?
Oh, I was just gonna say that.
I thought it was 20,000
You thought, or,
initially, yeah,
okay.
that's what it was.
So
20.
what is it now?
I don't think it's changed.
There's 80 that's been
Donated,
donated.
yeah, and we had a cost of about 100 to do the project. So tentatively, the village was up for about $20,000.
So if that's gonna increase any, we would vote on it first, right?
Yeah, it's a big amount of
Yeah,
money.
we'll
don't
keep you in the
think
loop on that one. I don't see it going above. There's a significant amount of money that the Red Cross has raised through their funding partners to assist with this project. In addition, I'll just say it's more than the 100.
I've got another question. How many people took the training that they had, the life,
Emotional CPR.
emotional
I
CPR?
believe that's what they're offering, right?
Yeah, that was an initial,
Do we know how many people took it?
don't know.
Fort Smith put on the same course over 2 weeks, like 2 Sundays in a row,
Yeah,
$230 to take the course.
right.
So be nice to know how many of our guys took it. And,
But if it was done here, yeah, it was done, I think, free.
yeah, free,
No,
but if
free
only,
is part of that, isn't it?
yeah, not free, it's 100 grand. So,
Well, we're using up
Yeah,
parts of the
so if
money.
only 2 people
That was
took it,
donated.
then there should be
Yeah. I just
900.
want to make one thing clear too. The
99,000.
GMWT donated absolutely nothing to the project while we're at it, just to be clear about that.
Yeah,
This is
and
totally a self-help, almost, you know, and through outside agencies and very minimally, a small investment by ourselves. And we're getting a lot of return on it, I would say.
for 100 grand, we could have hired a couple of psychologists, put them in here for a
Actually, one
year.
of the ladies that I was talking to is a PhD in emergency planning. These are not just, you know, anybody. These are top-notch people. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Mayor, there was a question about whether or not Fort Simpson was still accepting blood donations.
Mhm.
It was actually
Who was asking?
Angela Canning from Yelney.
Well, we are, because we're still doing project work, and this would be one aspect of it.
Maybe we should put that on our website.
Yeah.
You know, just because we're back on the island doesn't mean, you know, that we're still not dealing with it.
Yeah. You know, I guess we could have a talk about that, whether, you know, we should or shouldn't, because it's a fair bit past, and we've kind of identified where all our funding at least is coming from. If there's more things that we want to do, I suppose. We don't want to wear out the funders either, because suppose we get flooded next summer.
Well, that's something thing. What about what's gonna, you know, the funds we receive may cover the preparation for the next flood.
Yeah. It's a thought. I mean, it's nice that people are offering
Yeah,
to
okay.
continue to help us. Councilor Wright?
Oh, speaking of preparation for the next
Breakup.
breakup. Okay, we'll call it breakup. Okay, I've got a list of sandbag bags. I don't want to like stuff to order before breakup so that we are prepared if there is a flood. Who would I give that to so we can order this material before April?
Well, I mean, I think that's a sort of a different topic, but
Well, no,
we can
just-
talk about that maybe in committee, because even just you're saying give a list so we can buy it. I
Yeah.
mean,
it's only like,
who,
a couple $100 or
Yeah,
$1,000.
We don't really work that way, right? Like, we as a council just don't individually make up a list and give it to the SAO and then say, well, I expect that to be here. We all have to look at our budgets, decide what the priorities are, if we have funding available for planning, which, by the way, we don't for the next flood. The GNWT funds absolutely zero. Again, I will tell you that, in our municipal funding to assist in preparedness. There is no such thing as GNWT money that comes to communities to help with any kind of disaster preparedness, especially with floods. So
But how about the village itself?
Yeah.
Right?
it'll be coming out of our
Our
taxpayers' pockets.
pockets. Yeah, but like I said, 80% of the places that were flooded were from the sewer lines that the village put in, right? So if we give them a $10 sandbag and we, alleviate 80% of the flooding,
Yeah.
wouldn't we want to do
And
that?
these are all good topics to be bringing up. There's no problem with that. It's just, I think we should bring it up in our committee and that topic.
So where would bring it up at the next, what do you call it, the committee of the whole meeting? Or
Good.
do we have to have a committee meeting to bring it to the committee of the whole meeting, to bring it to the village council meeting?
I think it could be either one. It's just that this is going to be like a sort of an open-ended discussion, and you'll talk about this, and then somebody else might bring up something else, and it'll be all revolving around how can we prepare better, and what are the priorities. So we can have that discussion at the next committee of the whole, allocate a certain period of time to do that. I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I was sort of thinking in the new year, we would really be getting together with some of our emergency preparedness people. That would be department heads, MACA representatives, our own public works and emergency services people, and start to go over areas where we could better prepare. We're also going to work with the Red Cross to find out what areas they think we can possibly be better prepared in. It isn't just once the flood starts and then afterwards. It is partly beforehand, and how have we prepared the public and notified them. So things as simple as making sure everybody individually is as prepared as possible. Everyone has a plan. What is your plan? Because we found out that a lot of people showed up at Tent City with nothing. Now, we can't blame it all on the people, because it all happened at the last minute, the way everything changed with COVID and Yellowknife and where we were being evacuated and everything else. So I think that's why we're looking at what happened last year, trying to decide how we can be better prepared. Yes, we know we don't have unlimited dollars to do things we would like to do, but we'll do what we can. We'll look at our budgets and capabilities. Yes, Councillor Browning?
So when will the Red Cross have their final report?
Timelines, I can't tell you right now. They've been in a couple of times now, kind of doing some preliminary information gathering so far. It'll partly depend on how that goes. They're reaching out to different sources to get information, go over
When you-
people who were involved with the emergency plan.
Okay, so when you say different sources, I know earlier you talked about the GNWT haven't contributed anything. Are they talking to, like, they're the Red Cross to do a community wellness plan, health and wellness? So have they talked to, like, are they going to talk to like the frontline staff here that provide that service as well?
Oh, they'll be contacting all those individuals. Yeah, they're unbiased, right? They have no reason not to talk to everybody in the community. Me, I'm the one saying that the GNWT gave nothing to this community. You won't hear them say something like that. Okay, Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. I think I attended the meeting, in fact, with the Red Cross, and this is what I understood from them. They've been reviewing the emergency plan of the village here. They reviewed also all the emergency plans in Hay River and Yellowknife, I think so, and they are just collecting the data. So they will definitely submit a final report on what are their guidance to us for the future, and they even request. I remember even they asked for some head of departments names, so they're gonna approach them. But my advice is, even next time when they come, I believe the whole council, or if they contact the village, the whole council can meet them and can talk to them. And even Mr. Council Wright's ideas about the sandbags and all these things, we can share it with them, and definitely it will find a listening ear, and it will be part of their plan. That's what I understood, and that's how emergency plans work. I think so, but. Like there is nothing that they just gonna take it and come back and give us, oh, this is what you guys need to do. At the end of the day, we are the one who will be facing the emergency. We are the one who will be dealing with the emergency, and they're just a guidance for us. They will prepare for us a plan that will help us if we go through another disaster. That's what I understood from the meeting.
Okay, Councillor
Thank you.
Christensen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just on regards to this plan, since we're talking about in the new year, we're gonna start meeting and start making these plans, emergency plans. Are they gonna have their report done within 2 weeks of the new year, so that we can incorporate that and take that into account, what they recommend, before we start having our emergency plans? Like, we can't be waiting until April for their report.
No.
So we gotta have a
know.
timeline, a deadline for them to have this report submitted. We can't let them just keep coming and going without having any kind of product submitted to us.
I had the idea that the emergency plan recommendations for like sort of a gap analysis. So what did we potentially miss out? How could we do a little better? That will be forthcoming fairly quickly. Couldn't tell you exactly, but they're aware that, we've got limited time to prepare for the spring floods, and so I'll reach out to Kellyanne, who was one of the ladies that showed up here, and just ask for a better idea of the timeline, right? For that part, especially. The health and wellness project is one that will go on.
Which is ongoing.
Yeah, but that part, yeah, I appreciate that has to be done fairly quickly.
And
Meld with what we're doing.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, as part of that emergency plan, does it include a winter emergency plan? Do we have a winter emergency plan?
When they're looking at our emergency plan, they're also
do
looking
we
at
have our
fire.
We're looking at our emergency plan as always for spring,
Yeah.
but is the winter incorporated? What if the whole community shuts down for like 12 hours of
Yeah,
no
or
power or something?
power goes down.
We do have that in our emergency plan. It's developed so that there's different appendices, right? There's fire, there's flood, there's power outage in winter. Where do people go? So I think that's why we have to keep pulling this plan out, revamping and making sure all especially the resources, what we say we're going to do, and it's actually available. And the people that we're relying on contacting are there.
Can we get a copy of the emergency plan?
Certainly, yeah. We'll email it out to everybody as a primer there. Because that's going to be a busy topic after Christmas, I think. Okay, SAO report, and I'll let our SAO give you a little rundown there.
Thank you, Your Worship. First item is providing council with information on our open house that we are tentatively scheduling for December 16th. We are proposing to do it similar to our method last year of just bagged sandwiches and goodies that we do. Estimated cost to be about $3,000. And so just to let you folks know, and if there's no major issue with that, we'll move forward with that, Your Worship.
Okay.
As well, and of course, kind of segues into the emergency plan. Tomorrow, I'll be sending you all information on the upcoming orientation for this Friday and Saturday. It is set from 8 a.m. or no,
Holy,
no, 9 until 4:30 each day on Friday and Saturday. We will have lunch for you each day. And so part of that whole discussion is going to focus, among other things, on our emergency plan, on our strat plan, on our community plan, which will also, go to, how we amend or change bylaws going forward as we move that process next year. So again, come prepared, because I think they have lots of stuff they want to talk about. There'll be a lot of that. There'll be code of conduct, conflict of interest, financial. So it seems like a fairly intensive 2 days. So, okay. And Council Wright, on the matter of building permits, our process at this, right now is when an individual or a company comes to see us about new development or making changes, they would submit a permit application to the village, which we would review. Our initial review would be against the existing bylaw and what provisions are in the bylaw. If through that review there are no discrepancies or the permit follows what is within the bylaw, we will issue the permit. If there are matters outside of the bylaw or the permitting process, we would advise that normally we would bring the information to council that has happened and that we are moving forward with a variance. So that variance would be communicated to the public 14 days, and if there are no red flags raised or people that are dissatisfied with what's being proposed, then the variance can be approved by council immediately. So,
Okay.
Councilor Wright.
Okay, you said approved by council. The way I was told was the SAO approves all the building permits right now.
So,
I was told all. So what I would like to do is have all the building permits come through this table and we approve them. Right?
okay, so
It-
why would you want to do that?
Because that's our job, is to approve stuff like
What's the SAO's job then?
the SAO's job.
Administration's job?
He's to give them to us and say, this looks good. And we say, okay, go ahead. Right? Because right now, it just has too much power, right? can
You have the
do,
power to make the bylaw. The bylaw, it dictates what is acceptable and what isn't.
Okay.
And all the SAO does is look to see that there's compliance. If there is, they issue a permit. If not, that comes to council.
okay. We should approve all of them. We should see every building permit that comes through,
Right.
whether somebody wants to put a trailer in their yard or, you know, a duplex on a place that's too small, right?
I guess, one of the reasons that it was changed to the way it is now is because there's a short building season. A lot of people are trying to get projects done, and if they have to wait for the next village council meeting. to
Which
get
is
it
2
approved-
weeks.
And sometimes there's meetings that get canceled too. And then people are looking at construction delays, sometimes on significant projects.
It's 14 days and there's a 14-day waiting period for a building permit anyway.
But you have to have it go in front of a council before they actually say it's okay to put it out for 14 days. See, there's a lot of potential delays for people, and needless delays shouldn't.
I'm not saying create any delays. I'm saying the council approves any building permits.
Right, but, okay.
Um,
Councillor Brown?
Is that going, but is that something that we're going to discuss at the our
No,
orientation
I mean,
next week?
that's a thought that the councillor had right now, but that's where it stays. If he wants to make a motion to change it.
No, I would like to make an motion to change it.
Right, but you'd have to have the exact wording of what you want and which bylaw is being changed and everything else, right? So you're not prepared at this time to make that, I don't think. What I would suggest is that you do a little bit of research on what it is you want, or discuss it at a committee meeting, and then prepare your motion, have a seconder, and then it'll come to the table and we'll be able to have a vote. Because that's a bylaw change, what you're talking about there anyway. It can't just be even.
Yeah, well, this is what I would like to do. And just because I'm a new counselor, see, I've sat here where you made the motions, right? Oh, let's word it like this, right? Just because you don't want to do something doesn't mean it doesn't get done.
I'm okay with whatever the council decides. I'm just suggesting to you why it was done the way it was originally, because you've got the one idea, but you probably haven't heard the other side of it. I'm sure there will be a discussion at some point. Deputy Mayor.
I'm just wondering, these bylaws that are related to building permits. Now, wouldn't that be better served going to the committee that is responsible for, building infrastructure or whatever, as opposed to the whole council? Because I'm not sure what those bylaws are really. I would have to.
Yeah, okay, and SAO White, go ahead.
Just on the matter of the community plan and the bylaws and the process that council will be going through next year, through the spring and probably early into the summer with the consultants. Through that process, council is going to have the opportunity to develop those bylaws in a way that they want to move forward, so that they will control how development happens in the community, where it can happen, where it can't, what are the parameters. And I think once you've done that and done that process as a council, it is important to let staff do their role, i.e. sign off the building permits that comply with everything. There is really no need to bring them to council, because if you denied a building permit that was compliant, then you're opening yourself to stuff. Whereas when a permit comes that is not compliant, then it comes to council and you decide, are you going to deny it? Are you going to direct the variance to be issued? And then from that, decide, if there's no issues, then you would probably approve it. But your ability to have your teeth is when you work with the consultants on that development of the bylaws and put in those controls. So, just a perspective from administration. So,
Councillor Christensen.
Wouldn't this be technically a job for a bylaw officer?
Yes, we don't have.
in the
one.
end, yeah.
How is the job hunting? Job description, is it out posted? What's going on? with
I'm
it?
not able to answer that for you
Okay.
this evening, but I'll see what I can find out, and I'll certainly let you folks know, so.
I'm just worried the SAO is getting overwhelmed and stuff like that, and I feel like that might be some of councilors' rights concerns as well.
Mhm.
And then stuff get overlooked.
Yeah.
And that's where we need someone designated in that
To
position,
that position, sure.
right, to do the
I
full
mean,
in-depth job.
we don't get barraged with building permits in a given year. Like, the numbers are not staggering. And so it's not something that is, a bylaw person could certainly take that responsibility quite easily. And,
It's also not something that would overwhelm the council. Right? It wouldn't take
but-
any time to say, they're gonna build, a duplex over in this area.
it goes to our discussions this weekend is orientation, is understanding what your role is as a counselor. As a member of the executive who make the decisions, and how you sort of split what is your role and what is, the administration and staff role. So, there.
I mean, one thing that probably more than looking at the development permit itself is looking at the zoning bylaw, the development plan, and deciding what is compliant, what isn't. So you get better guidance and, bearing in mind that we have had developments occur in the village that now we look at them and we say, "Oh, you know what? Doesn't look right. That type of development doesn't look right." But you know what? It met all the criteria.
Or there's something done without a development permit.
Well, that's different. If you know, you report that to the SAO and they'll investigate. And
And again, that's where the bylaw officer would come in and do that review, and
those things do get caught.
Yeah.
Eventually. Yeah. We thought that we were actually helping people to quickly get their development permit and construction going by saying, look, if you comply, you come in, you can get your permit right away. You don't have to wait 2-3 weeks for the next council meeting. And because a lot of people use that as an excuse, well, I had to start, right? My materials were here, I had to start, I couldn't wait for your meeting in 2-3 weeks, I'm just building a fence.
Yeah, and then we tell them to tear it down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we do want development, it's good for us,
Yeah, but we gotta follow rules.
yeah. And if we don't like our own rules, we have to change them.
I was looking at places, Hay River, Newvik, Fort Smith, they all have, faster ways of getting around things. You don't need a building or development permit, building permit for a fence, right? They just post what you can, your 6-foot backyard, 4 in the front, whatever.
I think that's with us too.
Yeah, so we don't need and
I had to get a
No,
development.
you have to get. the
yeah,
permit.
for a fence.
Was it a new fence?
Yep.
That's why, a pre-existing fence, you would have been okay.
I don't even know if you have to do that in a Newvik or Hay River. Anything under 150 square feet, you don't need a permit for that. You don't need a permit to build a shed. Well, there was a list, I didn't write it down. But
Right.
yeah, there's,
Those are things that could be developed into the bylaw.
And for quick reference on the website.
Yeah,
you look, oh, I don't need a building permit for that, right?
there's so many things that we could add. I'll give you another example of something that, has caused problems. Elevation. There's nothing in our bylaw about when you develop the lot, the elevation. You could literally build your lot up 4 feet, drain all your water onto your neighbors, and that there is no accounting for that in our bylaws, you see?
Ours
So-
is like that, but we didn't do that. The neighbors did that, so.
So I mean, we
But it
could,
looks like you did that.
I think
No,
we
just
should
kidding.
review our bylaws for an eye to a lot of changes that, cause problems for people, right? We've got a long history, knowledge from the people here about things we should be looking for. Are you changing the elevation of the lot, for example? Number one. If you are, then to what? And these are things that right now, they aren't even addressed. But if we do it piecemeal and we just tackle, say, the one issue that you've got tonight, maybe people agree or they don't, but we're gonna miss other things. And because this bylaw needs 3 readings, we'll be constantly going back and doing it. We're better off to spend more time planning for what changes we might want to do it once. That way we're not pulling it up again and again and spinning our wheels. But yeah, it's an area that we should probably look at. And one of the bylaws that we'll pull up for review. Okay. All right. Any more questions for the SAO? One.
That's it for your report?
Yeah, short and sweet.
I'm just
We got 2
wondering if-
questions. Okay, I'll give the first question to Deputy Mayor Gill.
Since I'm chair of the HR committee, is it possible for my committee members to receive a copy of your HR policy?
No, we'll have, I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Christensen.
$3,000 for the open house. How many bag meals does that feed? 250.
And because of COVID, we just want them to come in, pick it up.
Yeah, so I don't know if we should call it an open house. I think we might want to change that phrasing because there's nothing open about coming in.
Yeah.
Maybe bagged lunch program, holiday bag lunch program. I just don't think it shouldn't be called an open house because in my mind, that invites people to walk around, come in and
Linger, yeah.
bag lunch.
Yeah.
Holiday bag lunch from the
There you
village
go.
or something like that. Can we just change it so it doesn't we don't call it an open house?
Our poster last year, we crossed out the open.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah. Somehow.
Just a suggestion,
Okay. All right, table items and old business, we don't have any committee minutes nor recommendations, we have none tonight. New business, we do have, under funding requests, we've got 2 letters. One from LKFN Regional High School concerning lunch program. And then the Arts Council of the NWT. Now on the first item, LKFN Regional High School,
LKRHS,
yeah, there's no,
not LKFN.
have we given money to the elementary school for their lunch program?
I think so.
And we haven't given one to the high school though.
Yep.
So this is like an additional amount that's being requested.
I think Troy can talk about that. Troy.
Okay, and I'll get Deputy Mayor.
Can I don't remember seeing grants that are given to community projects in our budget. Oh, where is all the?
It's in the council section,
Is it in the council
Yeah.
section? Okay.
Yeah.
And how much is it?
it's around 10,000,
Okay, and how much has been distributed so far?
probably more than that.
This year.
Now, there are other areas within the budget where grants are also budgeted. And like last year, we did the grant to the SPCA. We did that one. We also did a grant to LKFN at the time of the whole concept of the warming shelter being discussed last year. So there was, and those are things oftentimes that will go beyond the budget, but that's council's right and discretion to do that when they come before council. So So they're interspersed throughout the
Okay.
budget, so.
Because what the high school's asking for, if you work it out, it's, $800 per week, and there's about 23 weeks left to the end of June. That's gonna work out to $18,400. Now, I'm just wondering, researching grants for school nutrition, there's over 60 grants available online. I'm just wondering how many other sources of funding we access.
So that would be a question of the school councils and what efforts they put into
Yeah.
research that.
And what about the local, organizations, NGOs, like the friendship centers? Different organizations.
They have
and
asked
that.
at different times
Okay,
in the
I
past, so
wondered, I just
council
wanted to
has.
know how much to access it.
Okay, and Councillor Bellefontaine, you had,
Yeah, I was actually at a DEA meeting recently, and the principal of the high school was talking about grants that he's applied for on his own, in his own time. I believe he actually said that he got $16,000 so far from grants that he's done. So, and one thing to keep in mind is that right now, I mean, there's a lot of issues going on, and I think that teachers and administration of the schools are overwhelmed with a lot of different things at one time. We also have a shortage of teachers. We did get them hired now, but it has been an issue of having short staff and other things. So it's very difficult for the administration to find time to do all of these proposals for things that are kind of outside of their normal everyday job. Obviously, they want to do things for the children. But yeah, I know they are making efforts. They're not just asking us for, to solve the problem, but they're looking at providing healthy things. And we all know grocery prices in the north can be pretty high. And then I lost my train of thought there. The other thing I would say is that to me, it's an important thing because we have a lot of students that don't enjoy going to school as it is. There's a lot of issues, a lot of reasons why kids might not want to go to school. Cold weather, lots of different things, But I think anything we can do to help these young people enjoy going to school, if you go to school and you get food, if it's good food and you kind of like, it just makes your day more enjoyable, Some kids aren't necessarily getting the meals that they need. So having that might be, for some kids, could be the only healthy thing they're getting that day. We never know, right? So I think it is important for us to help them in whatever way we can. I don't think we really have unlimited resources to give everything, but I think, in my opinion, I think we should give them something. I won't put out a number. I'll let everybody else think about that.
Councillor Browning,
What did you give to the elementary school?
it's 5,000.
5,000. The elementary school also, their breakfast program is also funded by LKFN, right? What was the 5,000 for?
I can explain more. I can't answer your question, but if you don't mind. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Usually the high school, they used to have the kitchen, but with COVID right now, it's very complicated for them. They can't cook in the kitchen. So they are trying to work out a program that they could provide the kids with a meal. And that's out of the normal situation that they used to deal with. For the elementary school, that one is also for their meal, because we have two issues now. The issue is of COVID. We can't accept the kids. They don't have kitchen in the elementary school. So, and that's the reason why we, as the DA, we pay for the contractor an extra money to operate a second bus so they can take the kids to their homes during the lunch hour. That program might end to get them meals, and we are in negotiation with the rec center. If we could move them to the community hall there, serve them the lunch time.
So they would go there for lunch?
Probably, yeah. That's what we are working on.
So who would cover their lunch at the rec center?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, from the funding that those principals requested, plus our contribution from here. And for the council, I didn't even see the letter, honestly. For the council, I don't think, because like right now our situation, the situation of the schools is related to COVID. We are like COVID really affected the schools, and you work there, so you know what I mean by that. Some of the funding which we used to help in the lunch program, a lot of it went just to cover a little bit of the contract of taking the bus back to their homes and coming back and
Oh, so
bringing
the
them back.
5,000 didn't go towards lunch, went to the bus contract?
The 5,000?
Yeah.
No,
Is that, oh,
it's
okay.
gonna go to their meals.
Okay, I have another
Okay,
question.
Councillor Brown?
So if in the budget, there's grants up to 10,000, right?
Mhm.
In the budget, when is the budget's April, like, right? April 1st for New Year? No?
January.
January, oh yes, that's right, you're a minute, okay. So January 1st for a new year. So do new proposals for those grants come then? Or, because now we have two in front of us, you're saying they're
They
both,
come in all through the year from different organizations.
okay, so what makes one, like what makes, say, the SPCA more important than the breakfast program? Or, you know what I mean? I'm not just picking on SPCA, I'm not picking on it. I'm trying to figure out what's one more important than the other? Or how do you determine who gets what? Because already, how much did we spend on grants already this year?
I'd have to look at that
Okay.
to give you a good
Do we
solid number.
do we have guidelines?
Yeah,
We could spend up to, I think, 4% of our entire budget on grants according to the Cities, Towns and Villages Act. We just set a budget of 10,000, but it's not a hard limit. I think over the past, we've tried to stay somewhat close to that, but there are certain things we spend consistently on year after year. One is the grad gifts.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
up to $5,000 some years. It's something we do that we consider really important because anybody that's shown the commitment to finish their high school, we think that's a really beneficial thing for our community. Then we also give money for the Friendship Center for Christmas
food
hampers.
yeah.
We've been lately giving money to the junior high school or junior classes to assist with food. This has come partly because of the disaster and things like that, ongoing COVID issues. I mean, these are things that, the council just looks at. They decide if there's money in the budget or not. Is it good for our community? Can we afford it? Yeah. Deputy Mayor?
I had a question. Is the schools only running like 4.5 days per week? Like, do they get Friday afternoons off every week? They don't?
No.
The students are there 5 days a week.
Well,
It's
between STIP days and
Yeah.
That's what I,
professional development days, cold weather days.
Yeah.
because I was just
Okay.
thinking,
Uh,
it's
So what,
the
what's that, why is that question?
maximum number of students that are attending is 80 out of 109. That
Hmm.
really,
Right.
that's the issue that should be addressed.
Mhm. Okay, Councillor Hassan?
Thank you. I just want to add a little information which happened yesterday. In fact, this money is also going to help in a different area. Yesterday we had some parents, they complained that because the starting of the screening for COVID for the kids at the elementary school it start at 8:30, and some parents who are working parents, when they come and they have to wait outside, if they come 5 minutes early, and the teachers start that process at 8:30. And some parents even they said, oh, we can't go every day late to work, 5 minutes late to our work. So what we're gonna do, we will take our kids from the school. They will, especially with this weather condition. And I'm personally addressed this issue yesterday with the superintendent, and we came to an agreement that we have the SAs. You know what I mean? We have the SAs, the support assistants, and they're gonna be coming. We give them 1 hour early, so they can come half hour early, and they can accommodate the kids. But when they get the kids to be in their bubble, and those kids, the support assistants are gonna take them to their class. So when they're in their classes, we have to serve them at least breakfast before the rest of the kids come. So the school system is really complicated. And honestly, I think we are kind of getting away from the issue. They requested $5,000. The council either
they
give it
didn't
to
request
them
they
or
requested-
not.
No,
They requested well over $5,000.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah, $800 a week.
I think we're
Okay.
talking about the budget. Remember, he was telling us,
and that comes out to.
yeah, you guys
18,000
decide
per
whenever. I want to call for question, Mr. Mayor.
Well, first we need a motion. So I wrote one out, right, based on the discussions. But I would need a mover and a seconder. If you're looking for one, I've got one here, was a blank motion paper. Okay, I've written one out here, that the Village of Fort Simpson donate blank to the Lidley Regional High School to assist with a lunch program. That's that. Now, just keep in mind too, each year, it seems in the last couple of years, we've been giving $5,000 to the NWT Arts Council. We gave them $5,000 last year. I don't even think that they delivered any programs here in the community. No, we
last
didn't,
year
we
it
didn't
says we
donate.
did.
So that might be why, but COVID's been in effect, so to me, it's still in effect. I don't know why we're
Yeah.
donating if we aren't expecting any actual performances or anything in our own community. I know they're struggling for cash too, but if you think about it, what's more important? The children or that? I mean, there you go. At some point, you don't have to give money. You could say it's someone else's responsibility. Whose responsibility? Right? Who's not feeding the kids?
I don't think my issue is the letter per se. My issue is the stuff that pertains, like the grant, more than 10K, right? So like, you just put 10K in the budget just for nothing, or you just go over it every year, or like, that's my issue,
Yeah. I'd say
right?
it's a guide. The budgets are always guides, not set in stone necessarily, but knowing that, at least if you're going over, and then there's a little bit of I'd say room for adjusting from different programs, but not a lot, right? You can't just be donating money to everybody just for the sake of helping people. We really have to be discriminating in how we do this. It have to be awful important. Yep, Councillor Christensen.
Just to go off, there was 60 other charitable centers that offer these kind of programs. And how many? There seems to be at least 2 STIP days a month, cold weather days. How long has this principal been here?
I
we know?
wouldn't focus on that. I think questioning if they're
I
doing their
just,
job
you know,
is not our
just,
place.
I wouldn't mind knowing how many other bursaries, but $800 a week, like when we're only giving 5,000 in elementary.
I think when he talked to us, he basically said that this is kind of what he thinks it would cost in order to provide them with healthy meals, I don't think they're expecting the village to give them this entire amount. And I know that he has done some proposals and he is still working on some. Sure, it would be nice if teachers have days where they have extra time if they did it, but it's certainly not something they could, because of the union stuff, they couldn't say they have to do that. If teachers volunteered and did it, that would be nice too, but I think it's hard for one person running a school, especially with some of the issues we're dealing with, to also take on all of these funding proposals.
Deputy Mayor?
I wonder the events that the NACC delivers. A lot of it is on radio and online. The only event that's coming to Simpson is Stephen Hill. and I think that's in
This is a
the,
motion, you
new
wanna
year,
put a number
right?
and
so I would suggest that we
if you,
give the $5,000
Won't
to
sign
the,
it until there's a
Elementary.
to
number.
the,
the school.
the
oh,
high
you can put the
school
number, whatever
and
number
say
you
no
think.
to.
Oh, I'm not gonna put the number.
Rosemary looks like somebody that wants to sign that. And you just said what you said. You can leave it blank and we can make that part of the discussion once we get that motion on the table. Okay, well, you can write a number in, I guess, if you want, and get your seconder to agree to that.
I wanna put $5,000. And I'm calling for question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, but I gotta open it up to a little bit of a debate here. I know you want to vote right away. Okay, open the floor, discussion. Mover, would you like to make an initial comment about this?
Oh, $5,000.
Okay. Anybody else want, especially somebody that's opposed, because we've got a mover who's in favor of this. Anybody against giving the 5,000 that would like to say something right now?
I
Okay.
don't oppose, but I just had a question.
Sure.
When Troy said that they've raised $16,000 at 4.5 days per week for the next 23 weeks, it's gonna cost $16,500
Mhm.
or so. And that was my question to you, whether that was just targeted to the nutrition or was it targeted to other projects in the school, the
I
16,000?
think we'd have to ask for
Okay.
specifics. I mean, when they talk to us, he's just putting it out there and saying sort of things that he had applied for.
Okay.
And I believe the total that he said he had got was 16,000, or maybe he was saying, I know he got 5,000 from one source, and I think he got another 5,000 from somewhere else.
From United Way.
I work in the school and I work in the high school in the morning, that's where I am in the morning, and those kids could eat steady, which is, it's okay, right? Kids need to eat.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody else want to specifically talk to this motion here? For or against? Anybody want to say anything?
Support it?
Okay, Counselor Christensen?
I believe $5,000, we gave it to the elementary school already, so I don't see why we wouldn't match for the high school. So I'm for it.
Okay. And for that, I don't see anybody else putting their hands up, so we'll call for a show of those in favor of the motion, which reads that the Village of Fort Simpson donate 5,000 to the Liddiquay Regional High School to assist with a lunch program. All those in favor? Okay, that's 6 in favor, none against, motion carried. And then we're on to the Northern Arts and Culture Center request for funding. Do they actually ask for the dollar amount?
Yeah, they say
Five.
They say
5,000.
5.
5. We forego for, we did not pay them last year, the 5, I guess on the basis that we didn't think we were getting any concerts coming here because of COVID. I don't think we'd have a big uptake in that this year either. But it's up to councilors. If anybody want to make a motion to, if not, we'll pass on this one. Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the next topic, which is the land lease request. The very First Nation on the land camp, they're asking us to allow them to use a part of our lease on top of the ski hill for a on the land culture camp, which would be fairly close to some other facilities that we're proposing to build up there. It'd be a nice spot, close to town. For a lot of reasons, people would be able to use it more often. Accessible, nice view. we have a fair-sized lease. It's quicker for them too, because they could apply for their own lease, but they'd have to go through the same process we did, which takes probably a year. Councillor Christensen?
Well, if it's all approved, it's 42 days review.
Oh, okay, that's good technical information. No?
I just have a couple.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, you work for land, is it right? No. Okay, sorry.
I don't work for land,
Okay.
or else I would have declared conflict.
Okay. Okay, but you were saying a couple of points there?
Well, just the fact that it would be on our lease, that would make us responsible for it. We'd probably have to amend our lease to incorporate all that extra infrastructure. We have to factor that in as well. The road to the ski hill is a winter road. It's not a developed road. They're talking about driving vehicles in there on a regular basis in the summer and everything too.
Right.
So you got to factor that in too. So that access road will probably get pretty gouged up and all that in any kind of rain if we're driving vehicles in there. It's pretty sparse on information. And I know we want to build a lookout tower. Where's that going? If that doesn't incorporate in there, how close to vicinity is it going to be? Yeah, those are just my kind of comments in regards to that.
Deputy Mayor?
What is, I know our project has been approved for expanding the ski hill,
Right.
but what are the future plans for expansion?
Well, one of the things I was talking to SAO Corrigan, and he's contemplating putting in another lease application to get access to the road and the highway off the top of the hill. As you mentioned, the road access, if we want to create an area where more people can get at it by vehicle, we're gonna have to look at improving the road over time. Now, whether the band is willing to help in upgrading that road as well, I mean, these might be discussions we want to have and
Before, yeah, that's
before they jump in too, because we can't guarantee that we're going to be doing that. These are plans and ideas that we're thinking very roughly about.
And the two projects are targeting two different groups.
Yeah, one's tourism and one's kind of more local culture camp people.
which would also affect your lease agreement and all that. You'd have to change it because there's a commercial aspect because there is tourism and all that. Right now, I believe it's just probably a recreational lease. I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
And are they expecting us to give them space in kind? Or do we charge them leasing
Yeah.
the land?
There's just enough questions raised already that I think what we should do is invite a lands person to a committee meeting, whether that be committee of the whole or some kind of planning committee, and go over some of these topics. And maybe we could invite a representative from Little First Nation to come to our committee meeting, just so we're all aware of like what repercussions and considerations are there to doing this for everybody, right? And maybe it's not the simple thing. I sort of thought at first, yeah, that sounds real simple, but
It honestly,
isn't.
I think it's a great idea and a great
Yeah.
project. I'm not saying anything against that. It's just, we would be on the hook because they'd be on the village's lease. So if there is garbage, if there is anything like the sewer, they got 2 outhouses planned in there. What's the plan with those wastes? Are they gonna be sucking them out or else are they just gonna bury and dig new holes or what? Like I think there's additional information required and we gotta get a little more background because I'm not sure what type of lease we have out there. Is it recreational? Because we have to change it into a commercial lease because there's revenue gonna be made on this and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And if it's for tourism, then all the infrastructure should be the same, or complement each other, like things like that.
so maybe we should just table this item till we can get some more information back from lands and get a few questions answered for both us and Lidwick First Nation. I think that's reasonable. Just it's good we looked at it, but I think definitely there's more information required. Is everybody in agreement with that we go that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Then, the next topic we've got here is, commercial lease application, and we're being asked if we have any concerns or feedback, and just, airline requesting, some commercial lease, across, well, adjoining their existing lease. Simpson Air, anybody have any thoughts or concerns on that?
Okay,
Go ahead.
what's our plan? Are we planning on having an airport in town forever? Do we not plan on getting that shipped out or moved out to the main airport, municipal airport?
Mhm. Well, at least for the next 8 years, we've given a sublease to Arctic Airports, which is
The
basically
conglomerate?
Simpson Air and Wolverine and South Manhattan, all use that.
Okay, so do we want to get into a 30-year lease
Yeah.
when we only want them there for 7 years?
Yeah, but it's not our lease. That
No,
would be,
but we can,
But we can say,
Own it.
no, we have other plans for that, like the gardening, that's the perfect soil for like a town garden, greenhouse, and anything, right?
right. Yeah, this is the difficulty, I guess, is that we can say that, although we don't have any developed community plan that says that's a future area. If we were to just say that right now, it's not something that we can really say the community has had a say in, and we don't know. There could be concerns about how the land gets locked up for a certain period of time if it's beyond 8 years. Maybe we can say, well, for now, we don't know what we're going to do in that area past 8 years. Maybe that's
So we could,
reasonable.
say, no, we don't agree with this. And they only gave us till the 11th, January 11th or something to say yay or nay, right?
Yeah.
What's the rush, right? Like, why wouldn't they let us discuss it? You know, you got one meeting to make a decision.
Deputy Mayor,
Also, this is Commissioner's land, right?
Commissioner's Land,
So
GNBT.
that means Article 29 of the intermeasures agreement says that there has to be a written response from the First Nations.
Yeah, if they don't agree with it, it's not happening.
That's right, so I think we should just table it until.
Well, I shouldn't say that. If they don't object to it, they actually have to say no. If they say nothing, that doesn't do anything under that interim land use agreement. So,
And
but if they object, it'll
what
stop
is
it.
the environmental risk? Is he gonna put fuel on that land?
Yeah, we
That
just,
portion, or is, like, what's our zoning? Does it
Right.
meet our zoning requirements?
Yeah. Okay. Go with Councillor Christensen first.
I'm just curious, is this a lease renewal?
No.
So this is a new lease, so technically he's already out of compliance because he's off his lease.
Yeah.
His trailer's
Yes.
off his lease, so is he trying to get this lease so that he's in compliance? They just made a new lease?
I take it that that's what it is.
if you go down, take a drive by there, it's already fenced in, right? So it looks like he built the fence,
Yeah,
right?
didn't have it quite surveyed right or
If you
something.
survey, like, that's a pretty big mistake, right? It doesn't even follow the, if you look at the picture, it doesn't even follow,
This is not the first type of thing like this.
oh, I
We
don't
had
have the
one-
pictures on.
Not too long ago where at the trailer court, there was a trailer actually over the line. So in order to bring it into compliance, additional area in front was requested and we gave it because, I mean, after all, the place is all one big trailer court, right? Giving an extra couple 100 feet in front of that really changes nothing, except for, I guess the territorial government does get paid for the actual value of the lease. And same with this land here. I think if we were to object, we don't have the same concerns as the First Nation exactly, where they have this interim land use agreement, but we might have future community use in mind or other things like that too. I know that with the airport being there for the next 8 years, it might be reasonable to say, well, why don't you issue them? We would have an issue with the lease going beyond 8 years because we can't guarantee that the airport will be there for past 8 years. We've given a lease for 8 years. We anticipate this activity will go on for 8 years, but after that, maybe it's the community that might decide we need to do something different down there. If that was something the council thought was, I think that's a legitimate concern.
That's one of my larger concerns is the 8 years. And then we're gonna issue, like say, yeah, sure, at least for 30 more years kind of thing. Because that airport is underused, in my opinion, or.
Well, yeah,
Airport.
Main airport, yeah.
if we let them know that, you know,
We disagree with it.
yeah, 7 years, well, after 7 years, everybody should be out at the airport, or at least the airport in town should be out there. I don't wanna,
Enough planning.
As another community planning,
Yeah,
thing,
that's-
you're
Yeah.
certainly gonna hear different opinions. I
Mhm.
mean, there will be some that agree with you for sure.
off topic, but how easy is it for us to say we want to turn that into a community garden in 8 years and start working towards that so that we do have a plan to use that land instead of being an airport.
Yeah, I think what you're doing by bringing up the topic and making it a subject of discussion during a community planning process is fine. And then you see how people in the community are gonna feel about it. And we may adopt that as one of our future goals, that, you know, we're not going to extend leases past 8 years when they run out. Because it's a 10-year lease, I think they've gone through 2 years. You know, you'll wanna be inviting the airlines and other interested stakeholders to participate in that community planning process, because they're gonna have pretty strong views on that.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's, you know, let's say 6-10 of them, but there's 1,280 people in town who, you know, would like to see the airport gone,
Well,
right?
but it does provide a lot of benefits to the residents, quicker access off the island.
It's like I said, if you look at the price of a plane, a charter, they could pick you up in a limo and still make money.
Yeah, I know there's good arguments both sides. It's just been the history of Simpson that we keep extending the leases there.
Okay, you say history of Simpson. If you look at every other community in the NWT who had an airport in town, they've all moved. You look at the Trout Lakes, the Delanays, the
Jean Marie moved too.
Jean Marie. Well, yeah, they didn't really move. Trout Lake, Wrigley's always been where it was, but they've all moved away from town.
I like your point that you made that because of the flooding, that might have changed the view of some people in town.
That was the biggest fuel spill from the flood, was in that particular area.
Yeah.
If you remember, it smelled like avgas fuel for, well, long after we came back.
Yeah. And so I think the community has to discuss this. We wouldn't want to be just, it's a big part of our island, and what we do with that area in the future should be something the community does decide on.
The community as a whole, not
Yeah,
the 4 stakeholders or 5 stakeholders.
yeah. But I think in the meantime, we got to honor our lease. We can't back out of our 8-year remaining lease.
No, but we don't have to make it bigger.
So, I mean, this, getting this lease here, I couldn't see why the village would object to at least an 8-year lease. Beyond that, I'd say, well, the reason we're concerned is because we may have different ideas about what goes on down there. And if that conflicts with what's happening in the future, we might not want it to be past 8 years. I don't know. Yes, Councillor Brown.
I'm just thinking too, because looks like it could be already a rush job on behalf of the applicant, because there's already things there, there's already stuff there,
There's already a fence there.
there's already a fence up.
Yeah.
I say we not approve it, or
Hmm.
not, that's my,
Yeah, I mean, we could say nothing. Nothing is tantamount to saying, yes, we have no problems with it. If you're gonna object, you have to object and say why. It has to be a reasonable objection, I think. Lands will take that into consideration and,
Expanding his business, he says. You know, my concern is environmental risk, especially when you say after the flood, there was a lot of gas.
okay, so there's some environmental considerations about what will be stored down there, what will be
Like,
allowed down there.
what's his purpose of expanding his
Right,
lease?
and the area itself, is it going to be maintained clean and environmentally sound? But do you want to go beyond that and say no to the lease, or, you know, what's council's opinion on this?
I'm at a no, because 7 years from now, right?
There may be a different use.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we agree to to 7, or if we agree to 30, we might as well, we're putting out the,
Yeah.
that we're gonna have an airport there for 30
Yeah,
years.
yeah. Don't agree.
And
Right.
I can't see that happening.
Okay.
Messenger video.
Okay, and Councillor Hassan.
Okay, thank you. Is there any way that we could just, as we have a plan, we're gonna have a community plan.
Right.
So right now we can write that we do not want the lease to exceed 8 years, and within these 8 years, we will notify them, because
Messenger video.
our community plan might be next year, might be like this year, next year, 2023 or 2022. So we might come with an idea that we want to use this area. But as we are stuck with our 8-year lease with them,
Mhm.
we can honor that and request that it should not exceed the 8 years. And still within the 8 years, we have the right to come and say, oh, you know, we have another plan for this land.
Mhm.
Can we do that?
Okay, I'll go with Councillor Christensen first, then Deputy Mayor.
I was gonna basically echo Councillor Hassan's comment there. I think an 8-year, just to match what they currently have on their current leases, would be sufficient. And then in our community plan, which we're supposed to have next year, right?
Yeah.
And we can vote on it and everything, then we can factor that in. And that gives the owners, the proprietaries of that airstrip, 7 years to start planning to move off island.
Or less?
Or less. Well, whatever, we have to honor our lease agreements, right?
Yeah, but if the community said we want to use it and they said they want it in 6 years, then we have to understand that, and we have to honor the request or the what the community want. So still we are in a very difficult situation. We just have to say that we don't want it more than 8 years. If we didn't say anything, it's gonna go for 10
yeah,
years.
we can't not just say anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
that's how so much stuff gets passed and gets done.
And if
by
we
not
table
saying
it,
anything.
If we table it and we start doing these things, it's gonna go for
Yeah.
30 years.
Yeah,
have
and
to
then,
be really-
and then it kind of ties the hands of
Yeah.
anybody trying to do something different down there past the 8-year, transfer.
Yeah, how many years has he been there? Sorry. How
Oh,
many years has he been there? And now he's asking for an expansion of his business.
I think that just got caught lately, that there's been no real expansion that he's been utilizing that area for quite a while. Just call it encroaching gradually, I noticed there's been more and more stuff laid
Well,
out.
then we
There's a
would say,
fence.
I would just table it until we do
I don't
our
think we
community
table it.
planning.
No, if
Or
we
Or
table
not
it,
table it, but respond to them and say,
No,
we'll make our decision after our community planning.
But we only have until January 11th.
That's
We'll
why
get
Oh, I
I,
see.
We recommend the 8 years to match what they currently have.
Yeah, if we,
Okay.
Then
See-
at least if the community's
Is that-
fine with the airport, we can notify them and say, you know what, you wanna put that further than 8, that's up to you, but at least then things are matching, right? The airport lease is 8.
Yeah.
That lease is 8. Because the more you use up the area down there, you could find out that, that lease gets transferred to something else, which is another commercial activity, and it conflicts with agriculture down there or something. Who knows, right? It just-
So, yeah,
we have to respond and we have to just put 8 years.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable, given what you've been saying,
yeah,
8-year.
I just don't want to see
Yeah, I
30.
agree.
Yeah,
No,
8 years.
not 30.
we could live with an 8-year lease. We do not want it beyond 8 because we're trying to do our community plan, and we may be utilizing the area for other purposes.
I think that's
Yeah,
a
that-
good recommendation.
Yeah.
comment.
Okay,
And that sort of lets everybody know that 8 years is a goal.
okay.
Well, and I don't believe that 8 years should be set, whatever their lease, like, basically match it exactly what their current length is.
Match
What, if
to our
it
lease.
was like 7.5 years
Yeah.
or whatever, let's
Mhm.
match
Okay,
it to what they
so
currently
that would
have.
be our letter to Lands, just expressing that we haven't yet made a decision on the permanency of the air strip beyond the lease period, so we don't want any leases adjoining that are, servicing the airport to go beyond that either at this time, until we get more direction from our community, and that'll be in the next year. But at least that gives land something definitive.
Should we pass a motion for that?
We could, because that's pretty specific,
Yeah, I
right?
think we should pass a
Um,
motion.
So after Lands extends or give them the lease, do they come back and say, we
They could say they'll do 30.
yeah, exactly. So we'll see if they listen, if we have any pull with Lands.
And the condition being that DFN had submitted a written response. And they're supposed to do it within 30 days. So when was this submitted?
and
I
that's
think it was like
December
16.
Very well blacked out in this application.
Is it? Okay, anyway. And does it need to meet the zoning requirements? And lands or the water board or somebody would be doing a risk assessment, right?
Yes, from my understanding. Yeah, there should be securities due and stuff like that, but I'm not totally sure.
Okay, so I've got a motion here. I'm just taking what you kind of said, synthesizing it here. That council indicate to the GNWT Lands Department that the village is reviewing its own community plan and can only agree to a lease adjoining the airport for the term remaining on a lease with Airports North. And that'll be up to,
Less than 8 years.
it's probably slightly less than 8 now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the lot I would probably match it up to, right? Like how long is this lease for? 131-1, 641. Because that's really what he's building off of. So how long is this lease good for?
Mhm.
And that may be,
But I mean, if the airport's only, so it's airport, let's do it.
yeah, because he could have a 30-year lease right now on that one.
Yeah, exactly, we don't know that.
We need to know that.
It makes sense, given what you've said, to go something like that,
Otherwise,
but
you'll be
If you wanna sign as movers and seconders there, we can.
Want to second the motion?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that motion moved by Councillor Christensen and seconded by, moved by Councillor Hassan, seconded by Councillor Christensen. The council indicates to the GNDP Lands Department that the village is reviewing its own community plan and can only agree to a lease adjoining the airport for the term remaining on a lease, on an existing lease. How about I put that?
Yeah, on the existing airport lease. or
Leased
something.
with Airports North on an existing lease, so it has to be,
Can we add, Mr. Mayor, can we add number of years on that lease? Less than 8 years, because it should be less than 8 years now, is it right? Maximum 8 years. It should not exceed the 8 years.
Exceed the.
It should not exceed 8 years, because our lease with them might be 7 years and a half, but if we put it that way, it could, I don't know, there is
well,
kind of,
since I don't know
we have to put
exactly,
it
I'm
on
just
board.
gonna say, comma, less than 8 years, in brackets, estimated.
okay.
Um, And then, any more discussion now on this item? We sort of did it backwards. We should have had a mover and seconder brought it to the table first, but any more discussion? Okay, then a show of hands, all in favor of this resolution? All right, 6 in favor, none against, motion carried. So we'll develop a letter to the Lands Department before that deadline of, what is it, December 11th?
January.
January.
11th, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Now we are safe.
Now we've got 11D, amendment to fitness center fees, elders 65 years plus. And what's the recommendation for that? Half price?
Recommendation is that it be
Free for elders over
Yes.
65.
Is anyone like
Yep.
65 here?
55, 50, no, just kidding.
Okay, go ahead,
Yes.
Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. I just want to add to that. I don't know if we have to, if we should take it to the committee of the whole, or I can just talk about. I I noticed that the fitness center, since it started there, like right now with this COVID, there are a lot of youth, a lot of kids that go to that center, especially students after the school hours, and some of them they need some equipment which we don't have. I don't know why don't we upgrade what we have, like punching bags. I know some of the kids here like really into boxing and into different kind of sports which we don't have. So if we could use whatever money we have and get more equipment for the kids, that's one. The second part is those students. I have the rate for the students, and for it says students rate high school and post-secondary. Post-secondary usually they are university students. When they come here, they come as summer students. So if we should accept them as regular students, or we can accommodate them, but for our students here as youth, and why are we supporting youth and we want to have a healthy life for these kids, why are we making it 1 month $25? I think that's too much for just a student who goes to the school and want them to live healthy life. Just reduce the students membership, make it $10. And
Where does it say student membership?
I do have I do have the rates with me.
Oh, wow.
I do
Okay,
have the
don't-
rates
I
with
don't
me,
have
so I
that.
did my homework. So they have 1 month for students is $25. 3 months there is like a deal on 3 months and 6 months and 1 year. And for a day pass for adults there is a rate. For students there is no rate. So I think we should honestly consider the students and the youth of this community and try to support the parents. That money is going to come from the parents. The students go to school and come back from school. They are not working. So why are we putting more just load on their parents' shoulders to? They want to live healthy life. Why don't we just make it $10? Thank you. Oh, this is the rate.
Yeah, I don't have any of that, so you're talking.
Yeah, this
Read
is
to
my,
me.
this is my homework.
I just wonder too, like if we should get our rec director to give us some feedback on what you're saying there
Mhm.
too.
I'm gonna push for it
What's
anyway.
the usage data
Yeah, and
for the age group?
you know, I would hate to see some young person not being able to go in there because they literally do not have any money. I would hope that a rec director would say, you know what, go use it. If you have no money, that's okay, in your case. That, I just don't know how it is over there, but Counselor Browning?
The school has a really good exercise room as well. They have treadmills, they have what do you call that? The elliptical bikes, they have the weights. What else do they have in there?
Yeah, and it's well used.
It's well used.
Every time I go there,
It's
there's,
well used.
Yeah, but
It's
after
like
the
they're-
school closed, they are just, those kids have nowhere to go. They go to the gym, they go to the gym, they go to the fitness center. And in the school, they, like, that's part which I mentioned. I talked to so many of them, they like boxing. In the school, they don't have boxing equipment, and in the fitness center, they don't have. So that's when they are just walking around because they are really like they're really bored with what they have. So why don't we give them more, help them to just give that energy to this equipment? That's what I think is, well, just
I
should
agree with
help
Sean,
them.
I agree with you, Mayor, that we get our rec
Yeah.
director
Oh,
to put more, to bring in
We'll ask him about this youth.
usage and those
Rates
kinds
and
of
the
things.
usage and what he thinks about that. Like, are there any other concerns? And that way,
And a boxing thing for me in the fitness center would be a concern with
right,
no
Right.
supervision.
there is no supervision. See, that is
Yeah.
one thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay, Counselor Christensen?
We gotta keep in mind too, COVID restrictions. I don't agree with elders getting it free. I do agree with a senior discount. Absolutely, but if we have 5 elders in there for free, actual paying people won't be able to access it, because I don't believe that center is that large to support that many people. So I think, like, you know, $25 monthly fee, 50% off, something like that would be sufficient, adequate for a seniors discount.
And if you compare the students and the elders, you know, who's better?
Well, and in regards to the students, the gym is free.
Yeah.
They have programs constantly at the gym. They want to go work out. There's nothing stopping them from doing push-ups and sit-ups at home. So I don't think it should be, I think the prices are probably
Yeah.
adequate. I believe the whole comment was just supposed to be on the elders' fees. I
Yeah, I
think,
agree. And we have some of the cheapest gym rates,
in the
Anywhere.
world.
right? We have the cheapest gym rates in the world. I shouldn't say the world, but
Okay, Counselor Hassan?
I want to table this issue until we have the discussion with the rec coordinator, so we can talk about it.
Yeah, in
because right
conjunction,
now
both
we can't, we're
the
just gonna
seniors
waste
and-
our time on it.
and I don't think we can give everything away for free.
No,
Yeah.
Right? We have to have some for operations and
there's always the aspect that if it's totally free, people may
Yeah.
just use it as a hangout.
Yeah,
and that has happened.
Yeah,
That has happened. I know of
I mean,
a couple
I-
incidences last summer where it has happened.
yeah. We're generous of
Mhm.
heart and we want to do what's right, but we got to consider the facility and other users and things like that too, so. Yeah,
and there's no supervision.
that's one problem.
Mhm.
Well, we'll bring in our rec director. We'll have a little discussion with this at our committee and come up with one recommendation instead of adjusting it tonight and doing something later. Okay, Counselor Hassan,
According to the procedure by law, I think we should have a break now.
is it
Thank you.
Could we just be
Nine.
done?
9?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay,
9:15.
yeah. What do we got left?
just the proposed bylaw.
Yeah, can we just do that?
Oh, that might take a few minutes. Let's have a quick break. Yeah, 5-minute break.
You
I'm
guys
sleeping
can,
in tomorrow.
you guys can go out too.
I'll be in at 1.
See,
Can we do that?
That's only 9.
that's only, it's not that bad. See, this is kind of what happens in a way when we're finding out that there's issues we should be talking about in committee, but we're letting our discussions go a little bit just because we're all new and everything's, but we'll find that if we don't get more stuff in committee, we're gonna spend a lot of time in meetings like this. We typically want to get out of here by, by about 9, right? That's for sure.
He's moving the
Yeah.
minutes in. Now,
Oh,
now we got
okay.
15
I mean,
minutes.
it gets bad sometimes if you're still sitting here and it's 10:30 at night or something.
Yeah, my dog's
We can't-
outside. My dog's
we can't
outside.
put them off
Friday
and-
and Saturday, that meeting, what do you say, 9 to 4, 4:30?
9 to 4:30.
So you gotta get some kind of
Yeah.
civic leave if you're a government worker, I think.
I'll just take annual.
And then,
Yeah.
that's it, just
Yeah.
basically move that bylaws to the.
I think you,
committee
in your union agreement, you do have civic leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I
meeting.
just never gave him a heads up,
Yeah,
so I'll figure it out.
yeah, for things like this, that's exactly what it's for.
This was the one came out of the George Cup.
Right.
Manners to.
Yeah. And this is like basically taking maybe from the Yellowknife.
Yeah.
I know they do a lot of that.
Yeah.
But the wording is, coming from that.
And then this is just basically.
Going with the CTV Act.
Yeah.
She
And then getting,
Making it easier for us to
Yeah,
change
she's going through that.
in the future.
and I always
She
wondered
was
why.
DDE, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Teacher
Yeah.
process.
It's so structured and
Yeah,
the resolution can change.
yeah, one meeting. We can change that.
She had Kim's job before, right?
So we'll discuss.
No?
She did all the literacy
Oh,
stuff.
That way we don't necessarily have to do anything different with our schedule of meetings right now, but
She
if
wasn't that
we
old.
decide
No.
No.
2 months down the road that we want to change it, we can real quick.
Yeah.
Because this one still takes 3 readings, right?
Yes.
Council procedure bylaw.
2 tonight and 1 in 2
Right.
weeks. Which will be okay.
Okay.
Too bad we weren't all here. We better all been.
Yeah.
No, see, that's amend.
So this is I'll have to read it, this, because we didn't want to jump on this one right away. This is this part,
Right,
because I don't think anybody had discussed that too much. It's just that this part of it is here, and we can add this in and make that part of the bylaw.
yeah,
So all we'll
Okay.
be doing is if there's agreement on both elements,
right,
we just add that procedural bylaws hereby amended by replacing or deleting
yeah,
sections 1 and
that
2
and that.
and replacing with 1, 2, and 3.
yeah. Okay,
Okay? But there may be a decision tonight that council may not want both of them.
right, okay.
That's what.
Yeah, there's no rush to.
No. Those are the best pops, the Pepsis and the Coke Zeros.
Yeah, I was Diet Coke forever. Then I
It's just-
found these and I have trouble drinking calories. And I'm a pop fiend, so
Mhm.
once I cut out like actual sugar pop, I lost 20 pounds.
32 grams of sugar in every can or
Yeah,
bottle.
it's
Yeah.
surprising how much.
So once I went to the 0 calorie beverages, it cut down on it.
Yeah.
I hate coffee. Yeah, energy drinks with Coke salt. It's a terrible habit, I know. I got on the Soda Stream, but no one offers Soda Stream mixes
Oh,
here.
no, that's right.
So,
But Jenny, leave.
also, the public bathroom,
Yeah.
the stall, it doesn't even lock.
Yeah, no. We can make it lock. We pull it.
It was the first time I've ever been in that bathroom. I just went to use the stall, and yeah, it didn't lock. Side, let the SAO know.
Yeah.
High priority fix, right?
Next year.
Did they find a use for this after you guys moved? No?
That's another thing we have to talk about.
But not tonight.
No.
We'll be here all night. Okay, let's turn this owl back on, or?
I don't think it ever
Where is
turned
she?
on.
I think it's okay. I think
Okay.
it's-
Just one stand by there or something?
Still on.
Okay, good. All right, I will call the meeting back into order here. We've got, under bylaws, we have our council procedures bylaw, and we're looking at potentially a couple of amendments. One is one that we've already discussed at previous meeting about possibly changing our schedule of meetings. The SAO took what was said at the last meeting and recommended, I guess, that in order to, in the future, make quick changes to our meeting schedule, it should no longer be a bylaw, because that always takes 3 readings. So, but to do that, we have to go back to our council procedures bylaw and change that to indicate that our schedule of meetings will now be done by resolution. So we'll change this bylaw 3 times, and then after that, we can change our schedule of meetings pretty much at any one meeting we want. We can say, well, quick change, next 3 months, we're not having 3 meetings, we're having 2. It could be like that, and there's no big deal about it. And that also, I guess, to bring this more into compliance with the Cities, Towns, and Villages Act, our council procedures bylaw will state that, yes, we will have at least 1 regular meeting at each time and place the council fixes by resolution, right? So that's our meeting schedule by resolution. And that's what Cities, Towns, Villages requires, that you have at least 1 meeting a month. Yeah, you don't need even a committee of the whole meeting. You just need 1 meeting a month. But, and so this doesn't deal with our schedule of meetings. But once we've done this, we can certainly look at adopting whatever council wants in the way of a schedule. And it'll be a resolution. It can be done at 1 meeting. So any questions about, are you guys looking at that as the change? That's the one change. The second change is, and it came up at the George Cuff council orientation session, is the idea that the presiding officer, who's the mayor, should be voting and even discussing items during council debate. The reason he says that should happen is people in the community don't typically vote for a mayor because he's the chair of a meeting. Mayors don't go out and say, elect me, I'm a good chair. They elect mayors because mayors run platforms around what they think the community should do. The community basically looks to the mayor to be a leader. And so to basically say the mayor doesn't vote and doesn't have an opinion on anything is counter to that. And George Cuff, who's kind of an expert on council procedures, he presents all over Canada, the United States. He says really it's one of the very strong things he has in his mind is that mayors should participate in the vote. They shouldn't, and from your point of view as councillors, you should want the mayor to vote, because if I don't and I don't say anything,
Yeah.
it's all on you.
Well, and I want to know what your position is.
That's right, which I don't necessarily have to do if I'm not voting.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't have to say anything, but at some point I have to vote. That's when you would know.
George Cuff also said that the call of order, what is it, the Robert's Rules of Orders,
Yeah,
we should have our own rules and
Right.
not use the
Yeah.
Robert.
yeah,
That is not the
Yeah.
end all and be all like
Yeah.
some people think.
yeah. And just another bit of information, Yellowknife, I think the wording that we're looking at changing in this council procedures bylaw is mirrors what Yellowknife does. They have the same thing. The mayor votes, the mayor. Now the way they have it, may participate in debate and vote, may. That's something you might want to think about, whether the mayor will vote or may vote. Yeah,
Mayor participates and votes.
because certainly may vote, maybe there's just a lot of times it's of no consequence really, and it wouldn't matter one way or the other, and the mayor's not going to bother taking up extra time saying something. But some issues, yes, certainly the mayor may want to get involved. Typically, the way it happened before, if the mayor had such a strong opinion about something that he wanted to participate, he or she, in the debate, I'd have to withdraw from this chair. Somebody else would have to come up here and sit in my place. And then I could vote and speak to it. But I've taken somebody else's
Yeah.
option because they can't vote now. They're sitting up here.
Well, that's not
And
right.
That don't sound,
Yeah, that's not a great way, right? That was the only way I could really have a vote on any issue. Someone would have to come up here. Okay, Councillor Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we have two topics here. The first topic, I think we need to pass the first and the second reading, then we can come to this topic, the mayor vote or not. So let us go back to that first one and pass the first reading and second reading if they pass, and wait for the third reading. Then we can discuss this second topic.
Right, okay, so I'm gonna read the whole, well, do you need it all read? You've got it in front of you, right?
I pretty
So-
well understand it.
I don't know if you got have they got this?
Yes.
Okay. Because it's kind of long, right? I mean, if you've got it in front of you, we're basically changing this council procedure bylaw. I'll read the part we're changing. Enacts as follows: procedural bylaw number 2020-002 is hereby amended by deleting parts 7A and 7B. The rules respecting the rescheduling of regular meetings and replacing therewith. A, council shall hold at least one regular meeting each month at the time and place that council fixes by resolution. And B, the council pass a resolution at the beginning of each calendar year establishing the calendar of regular meetings of council. So those are two slightly different A's and B's compared with the 7 and A and B we had before. And any discussion on that? I guess I should get a mover.
These are scheduled.
Yeah, we
So
we
if
we
there's
We're
a need-
approving.
we change
We're
it
just
from
approving
bylaw
this
to be a
bylaw, right?
resolution, so we don't have to
Approving
get
amendment.
stuck with the bylaw. And
Or is
we,
this a
when
new
it's
bylaw?
the resolution, we can just say we don't
Approving
want, we
amendments.
want one meeting a year. Still, it's our right
Bylaw
to
number
decide
and
what,
that being
how many
amendment.
numbers of meetings we want. So we don't have to go back to bylaw and
becomes
follow
the
that
building
bylaw that
procedures
just
bylaw,
hang us with
which
like a
has
lot of meetings.
this new.
So it's just streamlining the process.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we
the
changed
old
the
one-
process from being a bylaw
Yeah,
to
just
just being a
streamline it so
resolution.
that.
Yeah, with the resolution, we can change, we can
And at
anytime.
the first meeting in January, you decide how many meetings you want to have.
Now, no, because
Bylaw
this have to
replacing
be past 3 readings. And
council
we are
procedure
we are
bylaw.
not a full council. We can read the first reading and the second reading. The third reading have to be the next regular meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe adopt an amendment. Because will that actually? be
Bylaw
the new
20
bylaw?
2020-002.
What happens is the entire old bylaw gets-
Stays?
It sort of no longer exists. And
Yeah.
the new bylaw exists as a council's procedure bylaw.
Right,
And the only thing that actually changed in it was those 2 subparagraphs.
right.
So we're approving bylaw 2021-05,
2020-002, is it right?
2021-005.
Okay. To replace
Okay.
20,
To replace that.
yes.
Okay, so can I get a mover and a seconder for this? The council approved bylaw number 2021-005, a bylaw replacing council procedure bylaw 2020-002. Can I get a
Yeah, I'll
mover?
move it, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Hassan, seconder. Councillor Wright. Okay,
That's first reading.
and this be first reading. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that's 6 in favor, none against. And then, same thing.
Second reading. Did you vote about it? No, you didn't have a mover seconder.
Okay, so this will be the second reading. The council read a second time and approve bylaw number 2021-005, a bylaw replacing council procedure bylaw 2020-002. A mover and a seconder again. Okay, mover, Councillor Bellefontaine, seconder, Councillor Christensen. It's with a C?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And any discussion? Show of hands? 6 in favor, none against. Motion's carried. Okay, so that's first and second reading. We didn't prepare anything for the second item, which was the presiding officer taking a role of having a discussion and being able to vote. But what we can do is prior to the third reading, that could be incorporated, or you know,
You can amend a motion,
yeah,
a bylaw to incorporate an addition to it or an amendment.
yeah. And the Councillor Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have concern with this wording. It says the presiding officer may. The word may is kind of like a slimy word. Either you honestly, either you vote or you don't vote. Because I know you break a tie, or the person who is the president of the meeting break the tie, or if we are say seven. Four vote yes, three vote no, and you vote no, you create a tie. That means the motion is defeated. It's not going to pass. So that's one. The second thing is, and that's your right. That's the right. That's your right. You can break the tie. If there is 4 and 4, still you can vote with whatever group you decide according to what you believe. The motion either pass or get defeated. So if we say may, you could sit there and you don't vote. So this is not what we want. Either we agree that you should vote, or if it's may, we don't need it. Honestly, we don't need to change anything. If we want to be clear, we take the word may. Either you vote or you don't vote. Thank you.
Right.
I'd say the presiding officer participates.
The word
Yeah,
shall or
debate
should.
And vote
Shall.
on all
Shall.
matters before
That-
council
that would be
without.
fine.
The word should be
relinquishing the
shall, not
chair.
may.
Yeah,
The word should be shall. And for Robert's Rule of Order, yeah, I know we don't have to follow everything on Robert's Rule of Order, but according to the Canadian acts, the legislation and the what the parliament was, whenever there is any problem, whenever there is any problem, legislation, we go back to Robert's Rule of Order. But still, we have the right to create our own rule. So we want you to vote, or we don't want you to vote. That what we decide here. So we don't like the word may. Thank you.
yeah, it says here, like this is an American legal site, but it says even the Supreme Court ruled that when the word shall appears in statutes, it means may.
So there's
there
any
could be-
strong word that we
I
say?
think
Must
take
is
it
the
out.
only,
Must.
must is the only word that creates to do something.
Okay, yeah, must. We
Or
are
just
okay with
leave
that.
it, the presiding officer participate in debate and vote on all matters before council.
Yeah,
Just take that
votes.
word right out and don't
Yeah.
interject another one in there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
but
is
that's-
concise.
That word, if I'm sitting there and it's my decision. Oh, I don't want to vote. No, we want him to vote. So we want his opinion to be there, either with yay or nay.
Exactly.
So must is a good word.
Right.
English is my second language, but must is a good word.
Yeah, not necessarily that you have to debate, because no one has to debate anything, right? I mean, shall participate, I mean, up to the same level as anyone else. You're asked to say what you think about a motion. You don't have to say anything, but everyone gets called on to vote. That might be the, I mean, I just noticed that, and it seemed to me like that's an option thing, right? But what's the point of saying shall if on a really hot topic, the mayor decided, yeah, on this one, I'll skip out, right?
So it's
And
gonna
vote
be.
must.
Maybe I'll.
This is what we don't want. You like the mayor whenever he decide to. Oh, I don't want to vote now. I'm just gonna stay away from it. No, we want either you vote. We either put what is the word must
Must,
Must.
or we just scrap the whole idea.
right,
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, and I got no problem with must. I think that's probably.
But still, we have to. I think we should table it until we get more
But we
information.
We
can't.
could do that. Can we do that? So we're.
Yeah.
Yeah,
our
let's,
dogs outside.
you've got the kind of information anyway. You can think about it a bit more. Anyway,
I'll bring that.
I see.
yeah,
Just didn't do it.
Okay.
Isn't it just concise? Yeah, very concise.
okay.
Know what you're gonna do the following.
So with
Hey,
that,
the meeting is not
our
that
council
guy.
meeting is going to be concluded. We've got a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Gill, seconded
Oh,
by,
Okay.
Councillor Wright, that council adjourn regular meeting RM 23-2021 at 9:37.
We're not doing council matters and concerns?
Oh, yeah, we could. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had a couple.
No, yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's
Let's go around the
important.
table. Okay, well, we can start with Councillor Browning.
I had two. One was your reports, mayor and SAOs. Are those, if we can get those like as written reports? What I find sometimes happens is that we get this, like tonight, we got discussion on the Red Cross. Was that your whole report? Was the Red Cross?
That's it.
Okay, so I would like those as written reports.
Especially our first meeting.
You
You know,
said,
we should have had a historical report of what has, you know,
Hmm.
what was accomplished in the last council so that we were aware.
Right, well, just keep in mind, I'm not your employee, right? Like, I'm not,
you're a mayor.
Yeah,
but-
you're there.
you're making me feel like I gotta report to you, right? And that's not exactly, you know, we demand you have something in writing. I'll do it on the basis that it will be quicker and smoother for the meetings. That if I meet with people, I'll give you that.
Yes, that's all, that's it.
Okay.
And my other thing was, the parking on the main road more in front of Maz's shop. And I don't know if people have been calling here, the parking has to change in front of there because I've had 3 people approach. I said, first call the village because I don't get the councilor's concerns. That comes to us, then we bring it here. I've been telling people to call the village to make their concern
That's
known
the right
there.
way to do it.
Just because I had one person say she almost got hit, her spouse almost got hit walking on that main road. That main road is becoming quite congested, that whole area, and it's dangerous. Somebody's gonna get hit.
I know Councillor Hassan is sitting there.
I know, but I don't know what else to do. I'm not asking him to leave.
Okay,
He
well, let's not-
needs to learn here
Let's not,
too,
Okay,
right?
just don't say anything, Councillor Hassan, right now, okay?
Those are my 2 concerns,
Noted.
was the
Alright.
parking in front of that main road and then the reports. I wasn't sure about
Okay.
the reports.
Okay, and Councillor Christensen, did you have?
I'm still seeing dogs running loose constantly behind my house. I think we should emphasize getting a bylaw officer hired sooner rather than later. And that would also cover for those development permits. It'd cover for a lot of other things too.
Hmm.
I would like to see that posting up within that first week of the new year kind of thing. So we can get someone hired, someone in the position. I would like to see the job description because I would like to maybe have something in there where like it's a 3-year contract or something like that, where we pay for their schooling, and if they terminate before the 3 years is up, then they got to pay back the schooling.
Yeah,
So we're not burnt in the long run. It's a great opportunity, I feel, for someone.
yeah, it's a career opportunity, it could be.
Normally what happens there is we train them and then they go on to better and bigger.
But that's where
Nature.
an actual autographed 3-year contract would come in place, right? Then we know we're getting them for 3 years. If they leave, then they got to pay back for all that training we
Yeah.
did. If we have that kind of clause in the job description and that kind of stuff, a union shouldn't be able to argue it.
The only, so the union will probably argue a term of period of employment.
Yeah.
Within, we hire somebody, we hire them as that.
Yeah.
They work under the collective agreement.
Yep.
If they don't pan out, then we move on to the next person. So, is a 3-year term,
I just want to make sure that our investment in a person to grow them and
There was
all that
language
isn't
we did have
lost.
in the last negotiation that gave a little more protections there.
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent, I have to look at the agreement, but
Just if we
did
could have,
recognize that.
if we could have something in there,
Yeah.
so we're not investing in someone and then them
They
leaving
leave and-
within,
yeah.
a couple months
Mm-hmm.
for greener pastures or something like that.
Yeah. No,
Because I would like someone properly trained to actually do the job
Mhm.
properly, right?
Okay, and Deputy Mayor Gill, any council concerns?
I just have one.
Yeah.
Regarding any issues that come to council that requires a decision, I would like to see a briefing note attached to it so that it gives us, a little bit more than just the application, say, there should be some history, what the issues are, what, you know?
I think there
Basically,
are-
a briefing note format to it.
I think there are a lot of
company.
resolutions that would be a bit like that,
Yeah,
where,
and then, related bylaws and resolutions that relate to that issue, so that, you know, at least we can look it up before we come to the council and not showing up, not knowing which bylaws impact the decision.
right. Yeah, that's something we can take a look at, see if there's any, because a lot of times you will ask your SAO, what are your thoughts on this, right? What's your recommendation? And so I think whenever they are going to give a recommendation, that can be done in a standard format. There's a lot of things
But
like,
briefing notes with options.
yeah. Because it affects administration, right? It's impacting budgets and different things, and so you gotta be aware, you know,
So we're
from
not
the
asking-
administration side.
Yeah.
And they may have some inside scoop there.
Just cuts the meeting down, cuts
Sure,
down the
Might be-
questions.
yeah.
I know it doesn't cut down your
I don't
workload, but.
know. Well, we'll see what we can, if there's a standard form that maybe Yellowknife uses or
There's-
something like that, right?
There's things that they've done.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll pass that information along to the SAO when he returns.
Yeah, when he gets back from his holidays.
Send it to him now.
No, we won't bother.
Might get that.
Okay, and Councillor Bellefontaine, do you have anything?
None at this time.
Okay, Councillor Wright?
Streetlights, where are we at with that?
Right, you kind of mentioned that we,
Application is in to the capital assistance program, so just waiting on
Okay.
approvals and then that'll move forward.
Mhm. And Councillor Hassan?
I have, I think, two issues. First, I have issue with Saturday and Sunday to come for that from
On Friday.
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. That's too much for me. So I don't know. I will be in touch with the
Can you be in
administration.
and out?
Administration in that regard. The second thing, and this is an information that I would like everyone to know until that time, until that meeting. We as council, we don't have any employee in this organization. Our only employee is the SAO. So if we have anything, we should just go to the SAO or go to the mayor. We don't have any work. We don't have those people. They don't report to us. We don't ask about them. We can ask about the programs, what we need, and address and raise these issues to the SAO. Then we get the feedback from the SAO. These are just things I want to mention. Just generally. Thank you.
Probably something we'll be going over in our orientation.
But there was
Yeah.
once was taking pictures of employees before, like driving by and then stopping and watching them work and taking pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain things that we're gonna learn. Okay, all right. Okay,
So you
I got one last motion, everybody.
What they're doing every hour.
Moved by Councillor Gill, seconded by Councillor Wright, that council adjourn regular meeting RM 23-2021 at 9:46 PM. All in favor? Okay, 6 in favor, none against. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
There's the mailboxes up here too for people. I noticed there's.
Yeah, try to shut them down.
Yeah.